Hi, by now you would have read our blogs about Toronto's music venues, their locations, and trends that our group has discovered about them. We will now walk you through the details about how location, capacity, genre, and social media presence are connected and create a perfect mix of musical diversity in Toronto. Music venues in Toronto have grown and evolved since the 1990s. The popularity of tourist attractions such as the Rogers Centre, the Scotiabank Arena, and large venues on the waterfront such as the Harbourfront Centre and the Molson Amphitheatre pushed local artists away from the downtown core, searching for community. This contributed to the growth of more affordable venues just outside of the city centre. Many local acts and indie artists found a home in neighborhoods just outside of the downtown core, such as Parkdale and Kensington Market. Toronto has been the birthplace of many artists that are now huge on the mainstream music scene, such as Drake, Daniel Caesar, and The Weeknd. Initially, we explored how Toronto music performance venues cluster based on factors such as public funding, musical genres, and ticket pricing. Initially, after taking a look at the spatial analysis, our group made a preliminary conclusion that music performance venues would be concentrated in the downtown core and radiate outwards based on theories of agglomeration. We thought that ticket prices, genre, and venue size would have an important relationship with venue location. After reviewing our spatial analysis paired with our coding analysis, you will see that this is not necessarily the case, and two seemingly unrelated factors share a close relationship to where some music venues are located. In our research, we uncovered an article by Patterson and Silver where they discussed two theories that we thought contributed to the musical scene in Toronto. The first theory we'll examine is the rising tide theory. This concept claims that art growth will happen in areas where there's a supply of government funding and economic influence. We expected that the larger venues in the downtown core would have more funding because the city would want to attract tourism. This creates a central focus for music venues within the downtown core, which would disperse out as funding would disperse as well. The critical mass theory is a secondary theory that we thought related to the idea of art growth that will happen not directly within established creative districts, but rather in nearby, less saturated areas. We thought that this would relate to the music industry in Toronto, as a concentric zone would have a creative center and diffuse outwards.
While conducting a coding analysis, we fished with a wide net, analyzing 29 different factors related to music venues, including neighborhoods, capacity, social media presence, wheelchair accessibility, and hours of operation, etc. Some of the factors we thought would be significant were proven to be irrelevant to our studies, such as there is no relationship found between hour operation and whether or not they served alcohol. Yet, factors we found the most significant were capacity, genre types, location, and social media presence, in which we will examine further as we dig deeper in our analysis. Our findings included that music venues are clustered based on social media presence, venue capacity, and genre-based neighborhood, as well as the importance of the theory of critical mass. All these factors were shown to be significant in influencing the location of venues. We coded for social media presence and found that many, if not all venues, have some degree of online presence. The image on the left shows venues located in neighborhoods across Toronto use the basic social media platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. But interestingly, venues located in Kensington Market take advantage of their online presence by creating their own unique space online. This provides an online community for their customers and followers. Out of the 122 venues surveyed, only 8 of them had a social media presence outside of the basic media platforms, and 5 out of 8 are located in Kensington Market. Comparing both images on this slide, Index 1 shows that venues that host various genres listed in red not only have a bigger capacity, but big name artists are most likely to perform at those venues. In addition, they're mostly located in the downtown core. Taking a look at Index 2, venues that host jazz, live band, and rock have smaller capacities with performances by more local artists and are mainly located in neighborhoods such as Little Italy and Parkdale. This is intentionally done to help promote local music and art growth in the city.
From the coding, we found a few neighborhoods that were more representative of one specific genre over others. If we look at the images to the left, we can see two examples from our coding. In the first picture, we can see that Parkdale hosts 6 venues that have musical performances. Out of the 6, 5 of them are pubs. In the same regard, Queen Street West, as seen in the image underneath, lives up to its reputation in hosting venues that support more than one genre. It is important to note that not all neighborhoods have this effect. The images to the right show neighborhoods such as Trinity Bellwoods and the Junction, where both have a variety of genres. Nonetheless, it was unexpected to find that these genres would specifically correlate to neighborhoods outside of the concentric zone model we previously thought. From the interesting finding that specific types of venues and genres tend to be concentrated in particular neighborhoods, we decided to use our coding and graph some of the most prevalent genre-based neighborhoods to gain a better visual conceptualization. By looking at the graph, it is evident that Parkdale and Little Italy have the highest number of pubs, whereas live bands play most sets in Old Toronto or the downtown core. Queen Street has most venues that host a variety of genres, which is not surprising considering that Queen Street runs through many different neighborhoods in the downtown area. To us, this image was powerful in that it represented that different neighborhoods are genre-based and how that looks like on a graph. The last finding, we take a look at our coding relative to the theory of critical mass. You may recall that a creative district is a primary location of art growth. Critical mass theory explains how these areas play a key role in stimulating art growth in nearby districts. We decided mapping our venues to better conceptualize the areas of interest and possible areas that could be creative districts. To our surprise, critical mass was proved in that there were centralized areas of music venues. Out of the 122 venues, there were 3 areas that proved to be relevant. This can be seen through our colored pins shown in the picture above. Green represents the area of Parkdale, whereas red represents Kensington, and blue looks at the downtown core. By looking at these 3 locations, we find that there is a spillover effect in nearby, less saturated areas, thus ultimately proving critical mass.
Our group faced 2 major challenges during our coding process. We had trouble finding information in reference to specific variables that we were looking for. Many of the venues' websites excluded coding information such as the availability of code check or ticket prices, and information regarding these variables was impossible to uncover when the venue did not actually have their own website. We relied heavily on the websites of the venues, or more specifically Yelp, so the information that we were gathering could have been outdated or incorrect. So there was really no way of verifying these variables without going to each venue. Another issue that was brought up was the conceptualization of some of the variables. For example, some venues were bordering 2 different neighborhoods, so we had to decide which neighborhood to place the venue in. We took a look at the next closest venue and clustered the venue we were researching into that neighborhood. Another variable we had a problem conceptualizing was how to define a celebrity. We eventually decided that any artists with hits on the Billboard Top 100 list would be included. Despite all these limitations, we found a common ground in order to get a comprehensive result. We were able to find relationships within the data, which provided us with information that helped us to draw connections between neighborhoods, funding, online presence, and musical genres. On the left is the final thoughts of what we expected. So initially we thought that music venues in Toronto would be based within a concentric zone distribution. As it turns out, the city is much more interactive and constantly changing, as we see in critical mass. Creative districts help influence the smaller, more localized developing scenes, thus making it a constant work in progress. The city is constantly changing and developing its perspectives in the music scene, through the increased promotion of dynamic local music scenes, we can conclusively expect to see growth and change in the years to come. In regards to social media, community building in Kensington Market is paramount. This is shown through the way venues express their individuality through social media. Kensington Market is home to 62% of venues that exist online outside of the typical Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This helps to provide exclusive spaces both on and offline for event marketing and community building opportunities. For capacity, venues that host various genres have larger capacities and are located in the downtown core. Local artists tend to perform at venues with small capacities that host jazz, live bands, and rock. These venues are mainly located in creative districts outside of the downtown core, influencing local music and art growth in the city. Finally, genre-based neighborhoods. Lastly, we found that specific types of venues and genres tend to be concentrated in particular neighborhoods. Pubs are concentrated in Little Italy and Parkdale, but live bands are most popular in the downtown core. Queen Street is the most diverse area that we studied, and it contains the most venues that host everything.
Here's a list of all the references and information that we used throughout our presentation in order to find our research. Thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed our presentation.